Yay. We are currently missing one of our council members. Maybe he'll get in a little bit later. But other than that, good with that. So should we move to item number 1, Easttown permitted uses? Thanks. Does that work? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, Jason.
So
Yeah.
I will be real quick, since we have a quick
What?
agenda, and the plan is to put this on to the next city council workshop.
Oh, good.
The city council, one of the work items this year for the planning commission was to make changes to the Easttown development standards to continue to support the development of that area as a light industrial manufacturing industrial area, and to eventually have it identified as a countywide manufacturing and industrial area. To that end, we had to make some changes to the permitted uses table, which we have done. So some of the residential and more retail service type uses have been removed. Some additional light manufacturing, light industrial uses have been added. We kind of looked, one of the guides that we used is we looked at the Sumner MIC because they have a big, large regional industrial center and kind of what they do in their 2 industrial zones. And what we did was kind of copy their light industrial zone. So there is some consistency between the 2 zoning codes. If you look at page, I'll just quickly go there. Page 31 of the packet, you'll actually see that Easttown, for the most part, has a lot of industrial development already in it or planned for it. So this is just recognizing kind of what's currently on the ground and also what is coming. The whole goal behind this is to implement a number of our comprehensive plan strategies to provide areas for job growth, family wage jobs, and this is kind of the area that we targeted. There is a chunk of Easttown that was moved into the Midtown Center, but still zoned Easttown. As part of the 2021 zoning code amendments, which will be coming to the council later in about a month, those will be all zoned, changed over to C1 or no C2, general commercial. The permitted uses are similar between the old Easttown and the C2, so that would be protected. And then actually, interesting to note, we've had this area identified for light industrial uses since we did our comprehensive plan in 1995. Yes. So we didn't even have to do SEPA on this because it's meeting kind of the environmental impact that we assessed for that area back in 1995. So the plan has been through public hearing. The Planning Commission recommended approval. We have provided public hearing and public notice. We didn't receive any public comments on the ordinance. Because this is a large zoning change, the next step would be to send it to workshop but we wanted to come through CDC to see if there was any additional changes or comments that we should make to the ordinance before presenting it to the city council.
Yeah.
Does it affect anyone else out there right now? What's currently going in?
Everything that's going in would continue to be a permitted use. There's the Jensen 410 apartment complex that is permitted, it's vested, and it's in the Easttown zone. And so for a while, it will be a non-conforming type situation, but it's right next door to the View by Vintage, so we'll be pulling it into the C2 zoning classification as part of the comprehensive plan update. We just couldn't do anything with it this time, but their project will still move forward because they're all still based to the older code.
Good.
So it looks like there's a lot of changes in uses like that were scratched out of that, or the permitted uses that used to be in.
Yes.
Area, right. So if those uses, if the council says that, particular insurance services, we absolutely positively need those. They've been scratched out of E, is what it looks like there, or something. Is that something that has to go back to the planning agency then? Or
no, not
public hearings and stuff.
No, not necessarily. We would just want to make sure we have a conversation around any of those types of changes because really, when you're doing a light industrial zone and trying to get classified as a light industrial zone, some of those uses kind of get removed and are in Easttown. And what's being proposed and what's been instructed out there aren't really those types of kind of customer type service uses.
Sure.
There are some retail uses that are supportive, like coffee shops and restaurants that you would see in industrial areas to support the workers. But the real focus is to really create an area where you have, you're moving out of the service industry and really moving into the light manufacturing, industrial zone. And we're having quite a bit of success out there with, we've got SCS, which is a fencing contractor and manufacturer that came out of Seattle. I believe there's a company that supplies Boeing that's going into Funnel Creek Phase 2. We're taking about half of that building. You've got Teeter out there. All of Bob Stobie's ACD Flex office spaces are filled up with those types of smaller light industrial, light manufacturing uses. And of course, we have presented to City Council about doing a bigger project with Chris Lear and Peak 410 and the Compass Point, which would add another, I think, almost 1 million square foot of light industrial manufacturing uses.
Mhm.
And there are some little other smaller ones that have existed for years out there that would just now kind of be at home.
You done?
I'm happy. Fine.
If we can go to workshop with it, that's the normal flow that they're.
Yeah, that's the normal flows to go to CDC to see if there's any big hiccups.
Sure.
I'm sure they have some questions.
Yeah, can't hardly wait.
Yeah, other
It's
things.
exciting.
And then I'd go to council. We'll do the bigger song and dance for the whole council.
Right. Sounds like that should be good. Then we. Next item. What? Here, what do you mean? The next?
47.
Please, thank you.
Oh, the agenda? Oh, 47, okay.
I forgot.
Yep, resolution for the design effort master telemetry unit. Well, Doug, the guy's in the owl, but he's
Hi there.
he's asleep. No, he's not asleep. He's actually awake.
Can you hear me okay?
He's in check. Okay,
All
so
right.
it's your show. Go ahead and present your item and your reasoning there.
Okay, I'm going to try to move. We got several between John and I, and I got 3 in a row here, so I'm going to try to move through them fast for you, one at a time, but fast. This is the last proposed planned SCADA improvements that we've been doing on for years. It is incorporating what's already designed for the upgrade of lift station 7 on the SCADA, but we're moving it over into this, so it's part of a whole packet because the public works bid advertisement that we went out for that was way over our estimate, so we are doing this to hopefully get a better price in the long run. The MTU is the master telemetry unit that is currently on the second floor of the public works maintenance garage, which will have to get moved eventually after public works abandons that yard, and we will. So the plan is to move that over. Is not in a big rush. And then we added one more request by operations to have a level transmitter added to lift station 21. As usual, RH2 does the design for this kind of work. They gave us a quote for $61,373. We currently have enough money in both our water and sewer SCADA for this design effort. The construction is planned for 2022. We will have to request approval of a budget amendment for 2022 when it comes time for construction. Any questions?
Sure. Yeah, Kelly, we're on item number 1 there. Action item, resolution 2950.
Thank you.
No, I just wanted to make sure, because I know Chuck's here too, that they're doing all the stuff that you need on your part, right? They didn't leave
Yeah,
out.
we're actually going, Doug and I are going to go out to the new facility tomorrow to look about what they want to do, whether the actual main telemetry radio system will fit in the room that was earmarked for IT, along with, it's not just, can we put this on the wall, obviously, but, with the doors open and someone in there, is my stuff in the way? Is there enough power? All that stuff. But we're going out there tomorrow to take a look and hash out, who gets what.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, from a perspective that they're able to make, get all the things in there that you were looking for, so.
Yeah.
Figured they probably were, I just wanted to.
And air
We didn't
conditioning
think you were.
too.
Yes, there will be air
left out.
conditioning in that room.
Yeah, the big issue will be where the antenna and the radio communication box is, because if we have them too far apart, then the cable gets pretty large.
Yep.
So that's the issue. If we leave the antenna on top of the peaking storage tank where it is right now, that becomes, that's the issue one of the issues we would have to deal with. So that's why I'm trying to squeeze into Chuck's zone.
Yeah, definitely.
But we knew this. So
Yeah. Figured you guys did. I just wanted to make sure that you weren't. Any questions? Kelly's,
Nope, I'm caught up.
you're caught up. Very good. So we can move this one forward to the consent agenda next council meeting, right?
I agree.
Is that okay, Debbie? Okay. Item number 2, resolution 2955. Is that Doug again? Yep.
right. So this is just a little relook at the Granger Springs pump station that we have down in the. Oh, it's way down there in a little field that's been around forever. That pump station was built in, I don't know, 19 naught. It's looking pretty sad. It looks, it's the only thing that seems to like that place are the rats. So I shouldn't say that, but we had a proposal, or did an analysis on this one a couple of years ago, 2019, and it was looking at different options, and the cheaper option at that time that fit our budget was to just rebuild on the existing foundation. Two things have come to make us rethink this idea. Is one, last year's hill fire got relatively close to that area. If it had basically gotten over one of the roads areas, it would have been right on top of our building. So that made us a little nervous. Fortunately, the fire department, I believe, from what I've heard, was aware of this and did a little extra care for that and the houses that were over down that one road. So that's good. The other thing is recently RH2 is completing a risk assessment study of our water system, and this came to the top of their list as far as a risk, potential risk because of the location of the building. So this is to add in these considerations, and with the additional construction costs that we are seeing as compared to what we saw a couple of years ago, they're going to just spend this $17,830 to kind of reevaluate and give us a quick study on that to see if we really want to do what we originally were doing, which was build on the existing foundation or move over about 100 feet or 100 yards over to where, or 50 yards, I would say, over to an area where we could build a whole new building, and it's much more open, away from the trees and away from the hillside as well. Two things that that's putting it the current one at risk. Any questions?
So they identified the hillside as a risk or something?
Well, you have a hillside on one side above it, and then like that, and then you have the building, and then right where the wet well is, you drop down. So it's literally sitting like on a part of it. You could almost say it's a shelf.
Okay.
So.
It needs to be done, I know that. That's,
Does? Kelly?
or,
You-
or
I
in
know.
the negative is the problem, you know.
I haven't been down there in a million years.
Me neither.
I didn't get a chance to visit the site, so I don't know.
As long as they
So
got
why do
us-
you say it needs to be done? Why do you think it needs to be done?
Well, apparently there was a risk analysis done by who was that? Doug?
Back in
there-
2019, there was a
Okay.
risk. Yeah. If you'd like, I can share a couple pictures. Real
Oh, yeah, yeah.
quickly.
If you have them handy or something, yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
always good to be able to kind of cite those things, when you're doing the need for cost, so that way that everybody can say, oh, yeah, we're just completed the test. Let's see.
okay.
Sure. You want Doug to come over?
You want Chuck to come visit me to help me out?
One way or the other. Now you know the
Here I go. No, I don't have it. I'm sorry. I just took those pictures the other day, so I meant to have them prepared.
Oh, Doug, what are your concerns that we don't do this? Like for another year or two?
Well, it is in our current CIP plan to do the design in 2021 and construct in 2022 that FCS and RH2 put together. So we are following the plan that was put together with our rate study. So it is that. Like I said, last year kind of opened our eyes a little bit when we had that hillside fire. Who would have thought Bonney Lake would have a fire what they did last year? And so I'm trying to talk while I'm looking. I'm not very good at doing that.
Yes,
Doug, it's Ryan. Let me jump in here really quick. There's a couple things at play here with work. Not only the danger of the fire, but you're in an area where there's saturated. So seismically, you've got an issue with the building. It's an older building. It's bullet holes in the side of it. It's been flooded once. The electronics that are in it currently are dangerous should that thing flood again, of getting saturated and doing more damage. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I had thought at one time the wet wells were actually, we were seeing some settlement in there. Now, RH2 did take a look at that and thought that that was okay for now. But there was an issue with the structural stability of the clear wells themselves in the pump house. Remember that Granger is 20-some% of our total water supply. If that goes down, we're going to incur some heavy bills with TPU to purchase water from them for an extended period of time until we could get the springs back up and going. So it is a big risk to us if we lose that. There's blowdowns all the time in that area during the inclement weather period that we have around here in the winter. One tree come down on that building, done. And right now where it sits at in close proximity to that hillside, and more importantly to me, the trees that are on that hillside, we could have some big issues.
Can we use the grant money for this?
Oh, the ARPA funding.
Yeah, the ARPA.
My understanding is that it is something that can be used for that.
I don't know if any of those are in the report too, but when they come, I don't know if Doug wrote up any of those kind of aspects. Maybe those would be great to have in there.
Sure.
Have you, because that's what I always look at as a risk factor, is
Yep.
to identify the driver that we're spending the money on. So it's like,
Yeah, absolutely. And just as Jack could tell you, with the heat wave we just had, being without a source, and we were a bunch of time.
Yeah, we actually were without. Their pump actually went out in that one, so we actually had to draw water from Tacoma Power. And what I was sharing with the group earlier is that we actually took more water from Tacoma for this heat wave than we did for the actual Summer Creek fire.
oh wow.
Oh, wow.
By an extreme amount. And I add into with this pump station, topography wise, it actually is a landslide concern, and it's very steep slopes, 18-20%. such that even fire trucks was having problems coming in and out. And so that's the situation. Is this is at the bottom of the hill, and really the idea is there a landslide concern? And that's what the risk and resiliency study showed. And Doug, correct me if I'm wrong, your assessment also includes a geotech report that actually is going to look at the grounds itself to make sure it doesn't slide. Is that correct?
Doug's
Oh, you
muting
need
himself.
yourself. Okay, either way.
Yes, it will look at it, but probably, they looked at that before as well. At the time, when they did that a couple of years ago, they didn't feel as concerned about that as about the slide itself. Yeah, and then, yes, RH2 looked at the wet well itself, structurally wise, and they did not see any real deterioration or issue with that as well, even though there was some concerns with it. But that said, it is where it is located, and we've seen too many times things do change that we don't see on the top of the ground that change underground, and so that is something that we want to. We just felt we needed to relook at this instead of just saying, okay, let's build a new pump house, 50 yards away, and then with today's market value, go, whoa, what did we just step into? So
Right, yeah.
so we felt spending a few dollars to make sure that we picked the right choice, both financially and long-term wise. We do what's right, and we keep you guys informed.
Perfect.
And this project was budgeted, and it's also part of the FCS study, so it's part of the rate.
Yeah,
Right.
makes sense.
Yeah, I'm good.
Kelly, you have
Yeah,
any
I'm
further
good.
concerns? Okay.
No.
So we'll move this one to the next available council meeting on the consent agenda. Okay. What do we do nowadays? We just give up on signing stuff. That's so old. That's so like 2019 or something. Yeah.
Who's the sponsor?
Right. Next resolution, again, is it a Doug? Yeah, okay, Doug, you're even doing that one, huh?
Yes, this is just a simple professional service contract with Cruzan and Associates for the geotechnical services that we typically use them for whenever we're doing any kind of construction that requires any kind of testing or whatever. And this is for the Tacoma tank that we're going to build. So they'll be testing asphalt, they'll be testing the concrete, and they'll be testing the compaction of all that area as they're prior to building. So as for $19,437, and
Yay.
that
Cool with me, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll move this one also to the next available council meeting on the consent agenda. Resolution 2958, professional services agreement with Mr. Woodcock over here.
Yes, this is kickstarting the Alan York improvements phase
Yeah.
1.
Thanks for pushing
And
me.
we've got a couple of contracts to do that.
Cool.
We called back in 2017, shelved it because of some unforeseen situations, and these are going to address one of them, which is the environmental permits. The first one was parametrics. We'll deal with the environmental permits and survey, and to get that project ready for advertisement. And this one is here for $79,332.
Pretty straightforward for me. Do you know when they'll be done with this?
Okay, yeah. So the project we're getting them going now. We'll advertise in the fall, and we'll be done in June. So we'll meet our June deadline.
Good deal. Appreciate it.
Very good.
Kelly, questions?
No, with anything to do with the parks, I'm kind of like still trying to figure out what the
Milk toast on all that. That's that one particular project, though, of course. You know, so the one phase one, not to be confused with other phases. And then, of course, again, professional services agreement with Bruce Dees for much of the same, right?
Consent.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, consent on that one.
yeah, so the next one is Bruce Dees, and they're gonna finish up their portion of the contract as well as provide the, construction management services, same effort. And that's, definitely.
Do they end up producing the bid package, or is that? Another?
Yes, right, so they'll,
Yeah.
right, so they'll be putting the plans together for the TSD. That's correct. So that's for 109,000. That does include 77,000 for construction management.
Yeah.
So they still have funds left over from when we put it on hold, and so it's 1,000 or 1,000, I guess, to complete the plans, and then 77, there's some other small items. Get it out for advertisement, and then
Others probably feeling the same way. Sounds like happy. So no comment, Tom? Are
No
you
comment.
okay? Or
It has to, yeah,
okay?
has to be
Yeah,
done.
you don't want to,
You don't want to go back into that.
yeah.
You see the town park.
We'll move this one forward on the next council meeting, you know, for a consent. And then, of course, a resolution to reject all bids. We kind of discussed that at the last meeting.
yes, we
Pretty
did. This is
straightforward.
just some paperwork for us to reject the bids, and as we speak, we've actually have the next. This has actually been dovetailed into Fennel Creek Trail 2B1 that's out for advertisement right now.
I think Kelly missed this last time.
I did. I missed the last meeting. I was on vacation.
Vacation. What is that?
I don't actually know.
Anyways, there was, you know, you know the story, right?
Yeah.
The bids came in all
Yep.
way whacked out, so we have to like do an official like get rid of them.
This is the official get rid of them.
Otherwise, they're like, wait, we had a contract for that job.
Well, yeah, we need to kind of close that one out and move on to this.
So
This is the official.
all the bidders are like, okay, they're not having a freak
They've all
attack
been
and
they've all been made aware that
they're too much,
Yeah,
too much,
that's-
too
yeah.
much.
I do believe that we're going to be over still
Uh-huh.
in what we anticipated from the grant opportunity from Sound Transit. So it will, when we do get our bids back from 2B1,
Mhm.
we'll have to look at that and say, okay, well, how much do we spend for these 1,000 more of our money? Too much.
Sure.
Right, and so the opposite, the other side of it is that we spent about $100,000 design. So that has to get paid back if we don't go forward with it.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So but right now we're about 300,000 over. We can get this down to maybe 200,000 or something less than that. Maybe it's worth moving forward. So you'll be presented that though in a few weeks.
Is it like John or you or something that's able to has conversation with Sound Transit to say, hey, these are a little bit more expensive nowadays?
I already talked to them. They said no way.
They're like,
So,
yeah.
We kind of when this, because I worked on the grant application,
Yeah.
when we got this thing, we kind of got, I think, the nicest deal we could get. 'Cause they gave us, I don't know how much money, but
Yeah.
based on the engineer's estimate, they gave us 100%,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
no match.
Okay.
So I commend John going back. I wouldn't be surprised if they said no more money for you.
Always
We're
worth
gonna try,
asking.
right?
Especially since they're doing it, they're having their own budgetary shortfalls, and they're looking for ways to cut money all over the place because of related to the pandemic.
One of the advantages of tying it with 2B1 is they're literally across the street. So we have a contractor on one side working, get some scale, and knock down some of the costs that were. That's to come.
It's an additive, if you didn't know, to the bid on that one. So that, if it comes back, because the trail piece is the one we're definitely going to do, particular bid, so that it still comes back and it's still like,
Ignore the additive part and
yeah.
do the other part.
Yeah.
Is that gonna happen, really? Do we have any idea?
Sorry, missed the question.
I mean, is it, given the current climate, I mean, is it gonna come even close to what we can afford, or are you thinking it's gonna wind up
I think
under?
the steel is what it is.
$100,000.
So the stairs are gonna cost us other items like the most, clearing, those kind of things. So, felt that, I forget the numbers, but, I think that when we get our final bids in, we're gonna be probably around.
Okay,
That's just a guess.
bake sale.
Where do we, yeah, I was gonna say, where do we get that?
Oh, there's multiple places you can get it, of course. Whether you'd want to or not, that's another story, right? Because there's easily that kind of money.
And I asked to make some changes, but we can't,
You'd have
we're
to
okay with
budget
that.
amendment.
Has to be like we talked about.
Yeah. It's just kind of a value decision at that point. Right?
Yeah, it's give away $100,000 or spend $200,000 and get some stairs.
Yeah. If only it was bikeable, I'd be much more interested in it.
It is bikeable.
Okay, well, nice. Yeah,
It is bikeable?
Yes, one of the, well, one of the key.
Have you seen them? Have you seen them bike?
Oh.
Yeah, one of the key elements of it to make it work with the Funnel Creek. There's a gutter next to the sidewalks to be able to walk without having to carry it.
So can Kelly run there then, Jim?
Kelly can run.
Yeah,
I've
the
seen
stairs
Kelly
thing.
run. You gotta run on those
You
stairs.
can run the stairs.
It's
You
gonna
can
take the
walk the
weight
bike
vest
up
off
the stairs.
I saw your wife last week.
Oh, did you? Yeah. See how? Never mind.
That bid thing, rejection just goes to the thing that we can do. The council meeting. On to resolution 2962 for our favorite roundy body thingy. Yeah, this is more contentious. Not with
Okay,
not
hopefully
with
it's
me
not
necessarily.
contentious, but this is the TIB grant that we need to have signed by soon because it needs to be turned in August 13th. And there has been some changes and modifications to this just recently as of today. We talked to TIB and TIB felt that our opportunity to get the grant would go up if we asked for a little bit less money.
Mhm.
So right now we are asking for about 2.9 million. They said if you get it to 2.5, it would give our better opportunity. So right now in our budget we're anticipating spending about $700,000 of our money to make this thing work, and now it's going to be about $1 million. Okay, so and that'll change. So when we turn in the application for council approval on the 27th, a new application will be in, and it'll be for $2.5 million TIB grant. Right now it's 0.9 million, and then we were going to match with the 700. That was going to be about 2.5.
So that extra money that we would have to throw in there, did we figure out where the source is?
Well, I mean, the source is going to be TIF funds that are.
Well, meaning that you're going to have to take it away from other projects, or it's like, oh, well, we have this extra in there anyways.
Yeah, I mean, TIF would be the primary source for our funding for that match.
Well,
How much
So do we have money for that then?
That's probably a Sherry thing on how much money is in the pot.
yeah, I
That's
didn't know
where
if Sherry was, if we've been looking at if you had any opportunity to look at the funding possibilities for this project or not, or if there's been
I
much.
was not asked to look at this prior, so I will have to take some time to look at it.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we also have like We have dollars for like sidewalks that we have in our budget. Those are dollars that as we roll those things in, we have about 250,000 set aside for that. It's an ADA. Both of
Those my
these would
sidewalks.
probably,
again.
I know, right?
both of these we could use some of those dollars for some of this project because we're building sidewalks, some ADA stuff in the area. So it's possible we could use some of the funds that we've already got slated to help offset that money as well. So there is money budgeted for the next couple of years to come up with $1 million. Because we have about 500,000 in there right now for sidewalks and ADA in our streets budgets. So if we delay other things and use that, that would be the $1 million this year and next year.
When would be the target kind of, when we'd be building it kind of thing?
We're
Or we
building
need
it,
the money?
we'll design and we're going to start design in 22 and we will build it.
And we're increasing by $300,000 for a total of $1 million. And so we have 2 years to come up with $1 million.
And some of it we already have.
Right. How much of it do we already have?
Before we can just settle on the idea of using sidewalk funds, I'd like to discuss that a little bit more. Internally.
Just options,
Jack's been working pretty diligently to craft some sidewalk projects. I think we want to get to. So I think there's some discussion there. We have a little bit of time.
It's always good.
And we
Just
have,
want to throw that out there.
we have a couple big projects that will be in the TIF account. Couple months that are not currently in the fund. So when Sherry's looking at the fund, they wouldn't be there, but moving their way out of permitting and collecting those. One of them being the fire station.
Oh, okay.
For the street fund, Jason?
Yeah, they would be paying traffic impact fees, the fire district.
Okay.
Got about 5 of them. I can help John and you guys figure out where we're at with what projects are still to come.
But again, this conversation is just whether or not we submit the grant application. I mean, granted, yeah, it has implications down the line.
Yeah.
You know, we could always get awarded the TIB funds in November of this year and then choose not to take
Right.
them. I
Yeah.
mean,
Is that, oh, is that?
So what do we do if we don't do that?
what if we don't?
Yeah.
Don't do
Well,
that.
then,
Then all the we have sunk costs, right? And
yeah, we've been acquiring right away.
Yeah,
And
right away is a big thing, right?
Well, yeah, the way I understand it right now, the problem is the significant amount of worrying that the whole roundabout will with council members. There's multiple council members, like near, like it's close. They're like kind of on the edge of saying, I don't want. They're not convinced about it. But I did see the new one, which I was wondering because I'm on I-5 down here in Fife, right off I-5, the Pacific Highway.
Oh, by the
and
trailer dealership.
They just did one there. It looks like it's like really large. I haven't spent some time down there to look at it. I didn't know, it looks comparable to kind of, I don't know if it's as large as the one that we're going to do. This is that one. There's one more like low-end traffic in Kent or whatever there they just did.
There's just a 6-lane roundabout there, isn't it?
Well, whatever would be the 4-lane that has those, the whatever you call them, the bike lanes. It looks like it's not crowded too much in there, is it? It's a conventional design for that kind of capacity.
Right.
What's the sunk cost so far?
Well, right-of-way acquisition and engineering time and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But, and to me, I would say, well, if you chose to build a signalized intersection there, it's likely that you probably need more right-of-way than less. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, because we'd have to put another lane in.
I just pulled up the budget, and there is enough ending fund balance to cover that. You'd have to do a budget amendment.
So, yeah, it sounds, I was just, heads up on I'm sure that, because literally there are several council
I
members
think we have a
here,
challenge with the council.
that are saying, they're,
Yeah, bring to,
what's your input, Kelly?
Well, I wasn't a fan of the roundabout.
Mhm.
'Cause it just seemed to me, the timing seemed like, why now?
Mhm.
Seemed to me like the best time to have done a roundabout was when the Costco interchange, right? I'm like, what's going on here, right? I mean, that just smells funny. So I wasn't a fan of it, but, we acquired the right of way. I go through that intersection a lot and I'm like, well, I don't know. It can be nasty, right? We
right
definitely,
after, in the
Oh,
afternoon.
right now,
Yeah,
it
you have to
backs up
scrape-
all the way.
you have to scrape up all those bumps, right? I'm like, can't we just scrape up all the, what do you call those things? Besides annoying.
RPMs, race pavement markers.
Yeah. Yeah, because I keep driving over those things. I'm like, can we just get rid of these? I'm sure there's some
Something
state
cheap on vacation.
code that tells me I gotta have
Yeah,
those.
exactly, I know.
So anyway, so I wasn't a fan, but on the other hand, I mean, we've invested in it. We've already voted on this on the council,
Multiple
right?
times.
I've always liked roundabouts. We were at a meeting, what city was that in? And they had roundabouts all over the city, like 5 or 8 years ago. All over the city,
Kennewick?
but they had them all over, and it really, everybody kept moving. It was real fan. Once I saw how well the city moved through them without very few traffic lights. And 214th is a real problem.
Mhm.
You know, just seeing now with the Holly growing and us growing,
Yeah,
it's going to be
yeah.
a bottleneck
Yeah.
clear down
Yeah.
past Old Buckeye Highway, and that's good.
Yeah, and it does that today.
Yeah, does it? Okay.
Yeah, all the time. It'll back
Mhm.
up way over.
So, and with the traffic light there, it's going to stop and go again is a problem. Won't be.
Well, and with the roundabout, a lot of people don't realize there's slip lanes in there, right? Those are kind of cool.
It's gonna be painful for 23 and 24.
Yeah.
Gonna be painful. People are gonna be like, what?
And I know we have some council people too. So.
I never get a good response from my constituent when I tell them about the roundabout.
The same thing.
Right.
So is there something we can do about that? I mean,
There's a Mythbusters.
is there?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, I mean, could we provide that would help?
Well, it would be
on
nice,
that?
if the webpage if we were able to consolidate at least an FAQ on that, because I know there's some really good engineering diagrams to show how it lays out, because that really helped me a lot. That shows some of that
We saw that a couple of
the
years ago.
higher level information. Like this is what because most people when they think roundabout, like at least I think they think, oh, you're trapped in this whole thing.
Yeah.
These are a lot more elaborate.
Well, so here's the giggle test for me. If we have to redo the intersection like right out here by Dairy Queen, what are we gonna do?
Did you say, what are we gonna do?
Yeah,
we
we're gonna
had
put a
to redo
roundabout in there?
Maybe.
Well,
You just did redo it.
correct, yeah, but DOT has just changed their protocol. And the roundabout is now their preferred alternative. That doesn't mean it has to be the alternative.
Right.
Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So they do an analysis, which is ACE, interchange evaluation,
Right.
or intersection evaluation, study that we did, we had to do for this one.
Mhm.
And the analysis proved that situation, the 214th roundabout is appropriate. In fact, every intersection east of there, the Enumclaw, will be roundabouts. They've done that analysis already a quarter from Bonney to Enumclaw, starting at 234, where Peter warehouses are at. So that 234, there's going to be a roundabout in the future. Everything east of that. So we looked at the intersection at 224, which is the midpoint of East Town, and that was determined to be a roundabout as well as 214. Now, anything further west, it may not work. It depends on where the loading is, the traffic loading. That all plays into whether roundabout or signal is the most appropriate application for the intersection. But 214th, we did the evaluation, and the roundabout is the alternative. Now it's just how much you want to pay for it. The longer you wait, the more you're going to pay, right, and everything. We've acquired the right-of-way. And the next step is if we can get $2.5 million free from TIB, that's going to help our costs to solve the problem now instead of waiting to solve it later with more money.
It's all good. You know,
Well, it's not all good. It's fun, right? Until somebody gets your eye poked out.
right, exactly. It logically and, you know, it works and all the engineering says it works, but, you know, you feel that it's kind of weird, right?
I'm still concerned about 214 as you go on down to next intersection where Light is there. They're already backed up real bad there. So if you ever, as you're going down 214,
Down.
South.
going south.
Oh, south.
South or north.
Yeah.
Yeah, going south, because right now they're already backing up there. If you got a roundabout off 214 with free flowing cars, they're gonna start backing up into 410 possibly with all the additional growth out there.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I know. Wow, it's been a while. Hi, how are you?
Forgot about that.
That's
Well, that one's slow. The one upstairs is a lot faster.
adding congestion to it. I don't know. That'll affect the roundabout. But
Well,
if you ever go down there and South Ferry,
and there are other intersections with WSU.
Yep.
Who knows?
well, they were telling me they wanted traffic lights there if they do the growth in WSU, which is going to back them up some more again.
I think we did ask them to look. Not in the county. South Ferry,
Right.
But yeah, that one is actually going to be looking at.
Should be.
Do we? So at the very least, I think we should move this one forward for full council consideration, eh?
I'm okay. I mean, I already voted yes for it once on public,
It's all in.
right? But I just need, well, I'm not all in, but
No.
I'm definitely, I think, you know, people have done their homework
CPC
and
issues.
Yeah,
and we're
sure.
already got sunk costs, right?
Yep.
Certainly welcome to bring.
DOT has a whole page devoted to
Yeah.
it.
I'm
Oh,
not
yeah,
sure
that'd
I
be great
put
to
that
have
on the
a link.
consent agenda though.
No, we did
No.
not.
Okay,
We did it on
good.
CDC, so.
Good.
Because I know too
Good
many
catch.
don't like it.
Because we need to have that discussion.
Yeah,
Kinda
and like I
curious.
said, it's interesting to, you know, if people could find something and say, oh yeah, did you consider this? This is why it doesn't work. You know, I haven't seen that, right? You know, I feel that it might not work, but that doesn't give me an answer to say, oh,
Yeah.
you know, this doesn't work because this, I have a feeling it's weird. But I've also looked at that one in Fife and I was pretty impressed.
Here's the one outside of North,
Okay.
right off the
Oh,
I-90
right.
interchange,
Yeah.
when you go to North Bend.
Mhm.
There's a huge roundabout there.
All good with that. So last item so far, well, the public hearing, self-explanatory, right? You know, is there anything new and exciting on that? That's that worthless Washington state law thing that doesn't do anything. Let's make a list that we can work off of. It's required by state law. It's meaningless. It has a billion projects on there. Yes, it will never get. You know the story, right, Kelly? Pretty standard. Box checking. Any changes to minutes?
Yes, Debbie has them.
Very good.
Is that consent
Uh,
or?
that is a consent. Yeah,
When's the
'cause we're
hearing,
just-
John?
Public hearing.
Yeah, it's on the 22nd. Public hearing, and then the following one would be.
Yeah. Any open discussion for a few minutes and,
So how do you handle the
Great
public
job.
hearings? Do you go to the public hearings?
oh, they're at the council.
Are we
This one's
officially
at-
done?
Oh, is that one at
This
the
is one
council?
where,
Yeah.
yeah. one
where
where
you're
we're
on
doing
Council
it.
holds the hearing.
Yeah. So that's where the public can say, I can't believe you have that project listed there. You're never going to be able to fund it. And we're like, yes, we know.
Are we done?
Are we done?
Are we adjourned?
We'll put it on our 1,000-year plan for ADA compliance.
Okay, so we'll adjourn then.
We just said no for the.
We need like a